Preview.
So, Ryan, let's just frame this conversation for people. What is a transaction and kind of what's going on in a company when they're experiencing or going through a transaction?
Yeah, a transaction can be any number of things, right? With a different size, different complexity. Anything from a company acquiring a small company, all the way up to preparing for an IPO. All of those bring challenges, all those bring complexity, and all those bring strains on your internal team.
Right. And so as companies are trying to navigate this, Rhonda, why would they use consultants when they're going through kind of this inflection point in their business?
Well, some of these companies, especially what Armamino focuses on, are mid-market, companies where perhaps they're not as robust. They may not have the depth of accounting knowledge in that transaction, and they're doing their day-to-day operations, right? So they may not even have enough bandwidth to do the different things that need to be done to get through that transaction cycle. And so this is a great opportunity to bring people in that are advisors and can help them basically as a, extension of their team.
Yeah, so it helps supplement their current team and kind of fill in gaps, maybe knowledge gaps or experience gaps, or even just operational gaps that they need in this inflection point in their business. So, Ryan, when we think about transactions, I mean, do consultants get involved before the transaction? Do they get involved during the transaction? Do they get involved after the transaction? Like what's happening and how do consultants get involved?
Yeah, that's a great point. The transaction cycle actually starts, long before the actual transaction date and for closing a transaction, right? In fact, the more a company can do upfront to prepare for what they're going to face, the capacity constraints that have been through the transaction, the better. Even once you close the transaction, the work's not done. There are post-integration issues to deal with, process policy considerations to bring things into uniform fashion. There could be a transition services agreement that requires a bit of work, earn-out considerations and things that need to be tracked for working capital. So the work continues long after the closing date.